The Town of Los Gatos Planning Commission meeting of Wednesday, March 14th, 2018 is now called to order. Mr. Paulson, would you call the roll?
Thank you. Commissioner Badami?
Here.
Commissioner Birch?
Here.
Commissioner O'Donnell?
Here.
Commissioner Janoff?
Here.
Commissioner Hanson?
Here.
Vice Chair Hudis?
Here.
And Chair Kane.
Here. I would ask that everyone stand and join Commissioner Badami in the Pledge of Allegiance. The Town of Los Gatos strongly encourages active participation in the public process, which is a cornerstone of democracy and essential to the Planning Commission conducting its business on behalf of the Town Council and citizens of the town. There are several ways for members of the public to participate in the deliberations of the Planning Commission. Prior to a commission meeting, written comments concerning agenda items may be submitted to staff. They are always welcome and they are always helpful. At meetings of the Commission, there are two opportunities for members of the public to participate. One, during verbal communications, an individual may speak on any topic that is not on the agenda, and any member of the public may speak during the public hearing on an item that is on the agenda. If you wish to address the Commission, if you'll be talking to us tonight, please complete a speaker card located on the back of the benches where you are seated. Turn the card into a staff member and print your name clearly so that I can try to get it right. For anyone who intends to speak this evening, I would ask that when you come up to the podium, adjust the microphone so that you speak directly into it. Please state your name and address for the record. In fairness for all who want to speak, it is requested you limit your comments to 3 minutes. We move to subcommittee reports. In addition to their service on the Planning Commission, members of the Commission serve on several town committees. I think tonight we have a CDAC, Conceptual Design Advisory Committee report from Commissioner O'Donnell.
Yes, earlier today at 4:30, 3 of the planning commissioners, the chair and Ms. Badami and I, participated with 2 council members. That's the Conceptual Development Advisory Committee, which is purely, as its name suggests, an advisory committee. We don't take any actions. We had 2 matters scheduled for this evening. One was 16,940 Roberts Road, which is right across the street from Fisher. And unfortunately, the applicant submitted papers to us as of the meeting. So we suggested, if they wanted advice, that we be given a chance to look at it and that they'd be given a chance to talk to staff. They agreed, so that was continued till April 12th, I think it was, but in any event, till April. The one hearing, though, it's not really a hearing. One discussion we had was 16,769 Farley Road, and that is the present site of the Jehovah Witnesses Church. It's about 2.76 acres, so it's a good-sized piece of property. The Jehovah Witnesses have moved. They still own the property. They would like to sell the property. They ran 2 proposals before us just to see our reaction. One was to build 10 homes. 9 of those lots would be 8,000 square feet or more. One lot would be close to 8,000, but not. The zoning at the moment requires 8,000 square feet. They also submitted a 17-lot proposal, and so we discussed that too. So the group of us made our comments. There was a large group of people there, a lot of people interested in this particular project, and fortunately they agreed to allow some of their representatives to speak on behalf of everybody. Otherwise, we'd still be meeting. So they all spoke, and I think it was a good meeting. And now the applicant, Jehovah Witnesses, and they're not a developer, so perhaps somebody else will get involved. They'll go back to the drawing board and decide whether they're going to submit this. They could sell it to a church because they have a use permit for a church, or they could propose to, as they are, because it's zoned so for a conditional use permit for a church, or they don't need a conditional use permit for housing, so they can do either. So we're looking forward to seeing what it is they will propose to do. So that's the meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Donnell. Any other committee reports? So we've come to the verbal communications portion of our meeting. Members of the public are invited to address the commission on any item not on the agenda. And do we have any cards? This is going to be a short verbal communications portion of the meeting. We go to consent items. We take a look at the consent calendar. Consent items may be acted upon by a single motion, but before the Planning Commission acts on the consent calendar, any member of the public or the commission may request that an item be removed. Tonight we have two items on consent. One is approval of the minutes of the February 28th, 2018 Planning Commission meeting. And item two is an A&S application for 16666 Topping Way. And this item, applicant and staff requests that the item be continued to our April 11th meeting. Do we have a request to pull an item, or is there a motion to approve? Commissioner Badami.
I move to approve the consent items, which would be item number 1, approval of the minutes from February 28th of 2018, and the requesting a continuance for 16666 Topping Way.
Commissioner O'Donnell, thank you. Any discussion? I'll call the motion. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. We move to public hearings. The public hearings portion of our agenda, we will consider item 3, which is a conditional use permit application, U17009. Project location is 326 North Santa Cruz Avenue. Property owner is Tacon Properties, requesting approval for a minor restaurant, Glazier, on property zoned C2. This is APN 529-04039. Are there how many commissioners have had the opportunity to see the property? Any disclosures? Mr. Khan, will you be giving the staff report?
Yes, I will. Good evening, Commissioners and Chair. The applicant, Glazer, is requesting an approval of a conditional use permit for a minor restaurant to be located at 326 North Santa Cruz in a tenant space of about 775 square feet. Town code requires minor restaurant use located in the C2 zone to be reviewed by the Planning Commissioners. Staff recommends approval, subject to the conditions of approval, as shown in Exhibit 3. This completes staff's presentation, and we're happy to answer any questions you may have.
Just for our collective education, why would such an item have to come before the Planning Commission?
Town code states that because it's a restaurant located in the C2 zone, that is to be reviewed by the Planning Commissioners.
Thank you. Commission, questions for staff? Commissioner Hanson.
I had a question for staff, and it might be for Ms. Wren, because I see her I'm sitting over there. Because this request is changing a retail location to a restaurant, I was just curious about the kind of the segment that they were in, because I hadn't seen a particular restaurant of this exact nature. Like last year, we had a couple of juice companies. So I was just curious, from our economic development perspective, is this a sort of a trend that we might be seeing more of, this Asian ice cream and along with the hot beverages? I've seen a lot of the Asian tea places, but not the ice cream part of it.
I think excuse me, Monica Wren, Economic Vitality Manager. I think just in general, people are looking for new niches. As we know, we often hear, what can I show up for? What can I come to your location for? So we have seen some new trends along rolled ice cream, different ways ice creams are made or ordered or provided. And it really creates more of an experience for the customers.
Okay, thank you.
So hitchhiking on Commissioner Hanson. In '96, the Town Council adopted Ordinance 2021, intended to discourage the displacement of retail uses by restaurant uses by requiring the Planning Commission to conduct a careful review. Is there a line? Is there a code? Is there a signal? If I'm discouraging restaurants replacing retail, what does that mean? I look at them sternly, or can I just say no?
So that's a fantastic question. We actually, a few years ago, when we saw a minor restaurant come in on Main Street, we had the same conversation. And at that point, that restaurant did have to appeal up to the council. And the direction that the council gave us at that time is to strongly discourage that the way they saw it is really when a restaurant becomes a bona fide eating establishment, when a full kitchen is put in, and it's very difficult for that location to ever return to a retail use, is when they like to take a little bit deeper look at it. In addition to that, that ordinance has come before the council on one occasion already to be rescinded, and it is something that's being discussed by the policy committee. The council never made a decision on whether they wanted to rescind that or not. They sent it back for further discussion. So at this time, it is still in place, but I think that it's really up to your discretion to think, in the world of retail today, and what we're seeing, is this a fit for that location? So it's further north on North Santa Cruz. It's not in what we would consider the most, the easiest places for a lot of retail to survive, which I think is also why we're going to hear later that there's a formula looking to come next door. It's a very difficult location for walk-by traffic, so something that's a destination that offers this type of food item or offers something a little more unique will draw the foot traffic up towards the north end of town.
Could my conscience and need for consistency be alleviated by the word minor? I see minor restaurant in here a couple of times. I figured that's a signal.
For you to, in relation to ordinance 2021 or in relation
Yes.
to something else?
It's ordinance 2021.
I mean, that would be something that you would have to decide, but I think from my understanding of the direction of the council, that would be your discretion, and the strongly discourage is not a requirement for you to deny it. It's just for you to think about it.
Other questions for staff? Commissioner Badami.
If there were no seats allowed, would it still be considered a restaurant?
Yes, it would.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hanson.
One more question. The current or the previous establishment was out of the envelope, and I happened to be downtown earlier today with my daughter, and I, as it turned out, I think I found where they relocated to. So, could you tell us why that is the reason that they are relocating? Because because it was further south down Santa Cruz in more of the heart of where we see a lot of the retailers.
That's
Is
my
that the
understanding.
reason?
Yeah, they're much closer to where Williams-Sonoma is, or which is a destination as it is a formula. So people will often walk by. I have had a conversation with her since she moved, and that is my understanding. The space was much more fitting for someone who's looking for that walk-by traffic.
So, and we haven't gotten other applications for to fill this particular spot. I mean, considering that the current retailer moved out to find a better spot, we don't have any other candidates at the moment for this.
We don't,
space.
and actually, of all of the calls that I received, I would say about 90% of those were a food use for those spaces, because it's just it's kind of how can we fill that space? How can we drive somebody up there? Because I think people who are very familiar with Los Gatos and know the shopping patterns did recognize that out of the envelope move to a place that's a little more central to that walk-through or walk-by traffic. So I think that relates back to kind of the culture or the temperature of the environment right now.
Thank you very much for your
Of course,
comments.
yeah.
With respect to other candidates, isn't it, am I understanding this correctly, that the lease has already been signed?
So typically a lease is signed with an applicant. However, most of the time there's some language in there that allows them to get through this process, just in case there is a denial. But most of the time, 99.9% of the time, a lease is signed before the CUP comes to us.
It has language that they don't get stuck if we say no.
I'm not familiar with this particular lease.
In the past.
Typically, yes.
Okay, thank you. Other questions? Thank you very much. Do we have any speaker cards? Who will be representing the applicant? I'll need speaker cards from you later, okay? But come up and tell us who you are. 10 minutes. You will have 10 minutes to present your case.
Thank you.
And your name is?
My name is Arindam Jha. and my partner.
My name is Irene Sinoff.
And we are the ice cream shop. We would like to open an ice cream. I heard, yes, we do have some language that you were talking about, that if you don't get through it, we might not be able to sign the full lease. We have that language in place. I think there was a questions there. So I want to take that opportunity. How do I move forward? So it is a unique ice cream. The ice cream that we are selling is not the ice cream that you get in any other shop nearby. The ice cream is made in a different way. We are using a very cold surface that can instantly make ice cream. For example, if you have a milk base and if you put it on that cold surface, it takes about a minute or two to actually be able to make that ice cream. And this is visually very appealing to the people. So I have seen in other places where this kind of ice cream shops are there. They're very social media friendly. So I'm talking about millennials. I'm talking about people who are on Snapchat and all the Instagrams of the world and Facebook. So this is visually appealing. It is not there right now. And it's actually pretty healthy because we are not using lot of sugar and other things to colorize it. We can add fruits. For example, our ice cream would have things like mango or strawberry, and we can just buy the fruit and mix it on the spot. So that's another thing that is more appealing to the people, whereas you are not consuming lots of sugar, which is one of the worries we have seen in other places. Other than that, we can go to the next slide. These are the two basic products that we are showing here. That's the ice cream. That's our main key product. And again, it's not a full-fledged restaurant. We have handheld machine kind of things that can make those ice cream. So suppose after 5 years, we guys decide that we are not continuing with this lease, or you want to make it a retail shop, it is pretty easy to do that. Also, we are making some kind of a tea or coffee, which is pretty much a heater that we need to do that, and some kind of other ingredients. So I'm not making any major changes to the property as is. It would be okay for us, and we are thinking about 2-3 weeks if we get a permission from you to go ahead and build these things up. We can move to the next slide. Why we want to build it in Los Gatos? We do not see anything even close to what we are building anywhere near us. We do have one gelato shop in that road, which is very popular and have been there forever. And our shop is selling something completely different. We don't see a direct competition as is. We are not using a lot of dairy products. We do have some dairy options, but we also have some non-dairy options which may be useful or appealing to people who do not like dairy products, maybe vegans who can have our ice cream, which in other cases they won't be able to have because they have milk in it. We can make it without milk. We can make it with simple mango juice. We can make the ice cream, which is perfectly nothing but mango juice. Other than that, I think this place is more diverse. It has the populations, when I looked at it, it's kind of a diverse populations, and people walk a lot in this place. I think the walkability rating or whatever it is called is about 94 or 98 in that place, which is what we look for, because I want someone going by my shop and be able to access my ice cream. Also, there are a lot of infants, babies, and families around that time. When we run by that, I see about people walking with their babies, and I think that's the demographic that we want to target. So I think that fits really well with surroundings of Los Gatos and what the city stands for, and I want to make sure that our shop be part of the ecosystem that we already have. We have already contracted one design firm for constructions. There were some questions from city planning and building about the access. They were talking about changing the door to electronically operable door so that people with disabilities can access it, and we agreed to that. And if we go through this process of CUP approval, we'll move on to the next stage, which is TI and actually building the shops and getting things done. This is the proposed, if you see the upper hand, this is the locations, this is how it looks right now, and below is how you want it to be set up. These dot things that you get to see there are the machines that we are putting in, And we have few chairs. We are requesting 8 seating arrangement here, and the whole building is allowed to have, I think, 10 parkings, and we did some calculations. We could get up to 10, but we are requesting like 8 seating arrangement for my space. And this would be very small, like they would be staying there for 5, 10, 15 minutes. It's not that we need so many seating. It's basically takeaway restaurant. And it's also a very small restaurant. I think the word minor may also be, it says 775 square feet. It's not huge. It's like from that side to this side, as much I can think. So I think that's why we're calling it a small restaurant. The other slides, I think, are in appendix. We are talking about the operating hours. So beside our shop, there is Chicago Fish and Chips, I think.
Fish and steak.
Fish and steaks, yeah. So they have the same operating hours as we have. We just copied the operating hours just not to have any problem with the city, like just the exact operating hours that they have. This is the sitting and parking, we talked about it. The building has been given permit for 10 parking spots, and shop beside us, the salon, do not have any parking allotted to them. So maybe you can think 50-50 or 1/3, however it is. But I think 8 seating arrangement, it seems justifiable. We went through this with Ajhar before. I think he has some points on that. Garbage collections, which is also important. There is only one West Valley Collection and Recycling LLC that provides service in that area. We talked to them, but we haven't signed any contract yet, as we don't have our CUP approval yet. Once we have it, we'll do it. If you have any question, I still have 3 minutes I can answer.
Thank you. The question, Commissioner Birch.
So it's a very unique idea. I like it a lot. Do you know where there's anything similar to this
Yes.
around?
I have gone to Thailand last year to actually learn it. It is difficult to make myself. I have been trying. You have seen a shop called Icicles. I don't know if you have seen. It's called Icicles. It's in San Jose, Willow Glen, right?
Yeah, the multiple.
And they have multiple locations. They have similar something like that. That's the ice cream part. The tea part is boba tea. This
Yeah.
is everywhere. You
It's
can
the
get
ice cream
it.
that I find
Yeah, ice
unique
cream.
and
That is
very
our main
interesting.
thing that you want to.
Relatively new, though.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Originally from Thailand.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Say that into the microphone. What she just said.
Oh, I said, well, this rolled ice cream is relatively new to the States, and then originally from Thailand. So I bet someone visited Thailand and then, wow, what is this? So brought it over here. So it's a brand new like customer experience. We just wanted to add in the experience to the Los Gatos town.
Thank you. Other questions? Commissioner Hanson.
So I did a little research on this Asian ice cream idea, and I found icicles, and there was also ai choy or something. Not so. It seems like this stuff is kind of sprouting up, but I wasn't able to find anything on Glazier, your company. So is this your first location? Okay, but you have experience with this from having been in Thailand and doing research and.
So I have done some research. I have been there recently. I'm talking to some of the people who actually make it from their original shops, like the first shops that ever opened. They are open for like last 6-7 years. So I have some connections, but yes, it would be a learning curve for all of us, because when we are making the ice creams ourselves at home, it is taking time to learn the process. So I'm going back and forth, and I'm still learning. So yes, there is learning involved in that.
So a follow-up question to that, relative to the seating. So how is it that you know that you need 8 seats? I mean, have you looked at the others like Icicles or that have done this to know like if that is that the right amount of seats? Because people probably have to wait for their ice cream, or they might eat it there really quickly or something.
Yeah.
How do you know that the 8 seats is the right number?
8 seats may not be enough. What we see is we don't have much space left. So when we looked at 770 square feet for this space, we saw we can put 8 seats, and we have visited, for example, let's give the example of Icicles. Icicles don't have any seats inside. They did some pavement encroachment, and they probably have 6 to 8 seats outside. And they kind of do well with it. I think that's fine, but again, I do not know how much traffic I'm gonna get. It's probably, if we get as much as Icicles get, then okay, that's enough for 6 to 8 chairs and tables being there. But it depends on how much traffic we're gonna get from this ice cream business.
So if I understand what you just said, comparing yourselves to Icicles, they don't actually have seats inside. They just have a few seats outside.
Yeah, so some of the shops they have multiple locations, but I think 6 to 8 is what they have. So they are okay with it. So I think that's what we kind of copied, and we really do not have much space left to put any more chairs.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Vice Chair Hudas.
So, as you know, we're being asked to approve a conditional use permit, and the approval is for the land use that stays with the property. And so I wanted to just understand what you're asking for is a minor restaurant selling ice cream, coffee, and tea.
Mm-hmm.
And that'd be any type of ice cream is what's in the request. So my question first is, how many places in downtown Los Gatos sell ice cream? Do you know?
At least one that is very famous, that is the gelato place pretty close to us. That's the one place we know of. I do not know any, like every shops probably sells some ice cream or some dessert at the end of the day, but they are not focused like we are selling a specific product like we do.
Okay, because I believe that there were other conditional use permits that did include ice cream in some other places. So the other question I had actually was just about the layout. You have a restroom in the property. Is that for use by customers?
We haven't, the restroom is smaller, and if customer really wants to use it, we would let them use it. We are not encouraging the use of the restroom. The way the restroom is pretty good for one person, but I am pretty sure the restroom is not in a position to have 100 people go there every time.
Sure.
We're gonna
No, I
restrict
understand. I'm not asking about a public restroom.
Yeah.
The
Sorry, I am not familiar to this process. So
I'm just wondering, do you know if the restroom currently serves both the
Yes.
326 and 324 currently?
yes,
But it will not when you put the wall in, is that correct?
yes.
Okay. That's all I need. Thank you.
Commissioner Badami.
Have you shared your business plan with the surrounding occupancies? We usually like to see some letters of support, and maybe the surrounding businesses might object to the use. And we always, appreciate you reaching out to the surrounding occupancies.
Yes. I let the answer Irene to answer this question.
Well, we actually did it several times. We're very persistent. We have talked to our neighbor.
Julio
Yeah,
and Alia.
Delia and Julio, and then the other salon shop at the back. So, and then we have the Chicago Fishing Steak. Yeah, this time is right? So, yeah, I visited him multiple times. And then there's a Japanese restaurant, and the owner is Jane. We had a nice conversation. I visited 3 times. Actually, I went there yesterday. I said, before this event, let me talk to them one more time. If they can make it, it will be better. So I was there, but the owner wasn't there. But we bring a change phone number and then message them if they can make it. We would appreciate it. So it's a rainy day, I understand. So I really appreciate your support. Then yes, we're well know who is our neighbor, and then we're building relationship.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Birch.
Can I ask a question of staff and then of the applicant? The way that it's written in the conditions of approval, it mentions that it's 8 seats. That's weird feedback. And then it mentions on item number 29 about street sidewalk closure. So I wondered if these 8 seats during good weather, are they able to move a couple seats outside to increase foot traffic and visibility?
So item 29 is specifically if they do any work that's going to block the sidewalk, they'll have to get an encroachment permit. We don't have the layout. I'll see if someone can pull up the site plan from Google Earth to see if they have any room. That generally tends to be narrow up there, so they probably don't have the room to do outdoor seating. But if someone was to be interested in outdoor seating, that currently goes through a separate process, does not come through the Planning Commission, given the council adopted a new outdoor seating
Right.
policy. So that may be an option,
Okay.
but I don't believe they have enough right-of-way there. But we can look at that. And 29 is not intended to deal with,
Okay, I wasn't sure
outdoor
if
seating.
those overlapped.
they
but,
do not.
Well, I guess maybe in a sense this isn't a question, if as your business were to expand, I would seriously consider looking at that because that will increase walkability.
Commissioner O'Donnell.
I want to be clear what we're giving you a use permit for. I understand your description to say you don't sell normal ice cream with sugar and the things that, well, you do, okay,
I mean, we sell ice cream, and some of them have sugar. Not all of them are out of sugar,
so
but
therefore, your use permit, the day after you open, you could not sell what you're telling us. You could sell regular ice cream, right?
why should I do that? It makes
Because
gives me.
you can. I'm just saying, can you do that? Because in styling the use permit, we have to find out, can we reasonably impose a limitation? And you're telling us, and I'm not quarreling with you, I think it sounds great.
Yeah.
You're telling us that you're different, and I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
But if you were to, the use permit goes with the land. So if you said, gee whiz, I'm going to sell my business to somebody, and they said, that's too complex, doing what he did.
Yeah.
We're just going to bring ice cream in and sell it. I think under this use permit, you could do that. And I don't think that's our intention. On the other hand, if you want to sell some ice cream with what you're also selling, then I personally would not want to limit that. But I guess I'm just wondering, would you object if we said so long as you sold the, let's say predominantly, sold the kind of ice cream that you've described to us, and in addition to that, what I will now, hopefully staff will come up with some better language, plus some normal ice cream. I don't know what percentage we're talking about, but I just want to make sure that 2 years from now, you're happy and you're going away, and somebody comes in and says, I'm going to sell ice cream cones. Mm-hmm. And everybody around there that said, we think you're great, are not going to think it's great anymore. So you would not have an objection if we said a minimum requirement is that you sell, I don't know, whether it's 50% of your product or whatever,
Yeah.
being that special ice cream you've described to us.
Exactly. I would like that. Yep.
All right, well, I'm going to ask staff if they can figure out what I just said, if we can put that in the limitations on the use permit. The attorney is looking at me like he understands and not happy.
No, it's more, I've heard that from you before staff starts crafting it. Let's make sure that's part of the motion, and the rest of the planning commission would want to make
Okay,
that.
it would be helpful
Would
to
want
us.
to put that restriction. And we
Right.
can do that once we're in the deliberation phase.
Okay, thank you.
That's what I was going to
Thank you.
say. New subject, Commissioner Jenoff?
Just a clarification. Judging from the one photo we saw of the sweet product that you're selling, let's not call it ice cream because it may not have cream in it, but it looks like the selling point is the rolled aspect. It's not necessarily the ingredients, although I appreciate that you have
Some of, yeah.
some unique characteristics there. But if we were to make the conditional use speak more to the presentation of your product, that would that limit you in any way from, if we said it's a rolled sweet ice cream or non-ice cream? I mean, I don't know how you change
Not
that.
really. I mean, we are very much sold to the idea. We want to do what we want to do. If
The roll- if it's
yeah,
the rolled
you can put
presentation.
any language you want to. We are not changing our ideas. So
Right, thank you.
that's it. Yeah.
Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you very much. Now invite comments from members of the public. If you've not already turned in a speaker card, this would be the time to do that. You will have 3 minutes to address the application. And you may be seated,
No.
and we will come back to you.
And I'll address the comment about, there could very well be adequate space to do outdoor seating, and that would, at a later time, it doesn't have to be in the CUP whatsoever. They would come in and be able to do that through our encroachment permit.
What? Not this item. We have no speaker cards from the public for this item. Yes, ma'am. As I have been saying.
Speaker card that I can give to you. So thank you for letting me speak. I'm Maddie Baker. I'm with Keller Williams Commercial, and I am their broker. So if you have any questions about the lease, I'm happy to answer them. I just want to say something on their behalf. They're very passionate, very excited about opening their business in the city of Los Gatos. So I really hope that you can keep that in consideration. It's the uniqueness of their product that I think will bring a lot to the city. So I think that they're totally okay with you putting any language in there that speaks to that. I've known them for a very short period of time. I've helped counsel them on their business plan. Yes, they are not a franchise. They are going to be doing this on their own, but they will be having staff manning the business for them as they help oversee it and grow it. So I just wanted to just share that with you. And then if you have any questions about the lease, the one thing is the property owner has had it under contract, so the lease is signed for several months. So if you were not to approve that, then they're back to square one. The property owner has to go back and find another person. And like she has been mentioning, it's been primarily food places to start with. So hoping that you could see it to approve their CUP so they can get started with their business. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions for the speaker? Thank you very much. For the applicant now, you will have 5 minutes to rebut or add or subtract from anything you just heard. Tell us more about the project if you wish. What? Kel Supri, tell us your name and address, please.
My name's Delia Perez, and my address is 345 Village Lane. I'm co-owner of Salon Cashmere on the other side of the building where they might be. I just wanted to basically say that I also have a business in Willow Glen in the same building as Icicles. And that place they are busy when it's raining, during the summer. I mean, they really draw in a lot of traffic over there, and I'd have no doubt that they would be successful at this location in Los Gatos, because we don't have anything like that over here. So I just wanted to add that in, because I'm right there. I see it every day. So that's it.
Thank you. Questions for the speaker? That's good to know that the other place is busy. Thank you.
Busy, yes.
Have you filled out some cards? No, the applicant. I just want to remind them. Maddie Baker? I'm so confused. I will now give the applicant 5 minutes to rebut anything they heard, add or subtract if they wish to have those 5 minutes.
No, I have nothing to add. Just want to say that, yes, there was a question on the encroachment, and the Fish and a Stick do have encroachment just beside us. And looks like we do have this space for that, but right now we are not thinking of it. Based on how our business does, we may come back again with the encroachment requirement. Other than that, there is nothing I want to add at this point of time.
Thank you. Any further questions? Thank you very much. I'm going to close the public portion of the public hearing and ask if any commissioners have questions for staff, wish to make a comment on the application, or wish to make a motion? Commissioner O'Donnell.
I'm going to make a motion. The motion would say that we find the proposed project is categorically exempt pursuant to Section 15301 of CEQA, the California Environmental Quality Act. That's set forth in Exhibit 2. We make the findings required by Section 292190 of the town code for granting approval of a CUP. That's also set forth in Exhibit 2. And therefore, we approve the CUP application identified as U17009 with the conditions contained in Exhibit 3, and that the language be expanded to indicate that the use permit applies to the use that has been described to us, which is this special form, I'll call it an ice cream, but the description is sometimes it has no cream in it, it has no milk in it. But as described here, I don't know what you call that, but it's also made differently. It is rolled on very cold surfaces. That's been described too. Which is not to say that they could not sell as an additional but not predominant product, namely the kind of ice cream most of us think of when we think of ice cream. So it would be predominantly, as they've described to us, with the ability also to sell some ice cream, but not the predominant part. And I'm using the term predominant to mean that at least 50% of their product be as described to us, which is a unique product and is not what we would otherwise consider as normal ice cream. So that would be the motion.
I'm looking for a second. Commissioner Hudas.
I'll second the motion. I do have a suggestion on the language if the maker of the motion. I don't think the distinction is between regular ice cream and not. I think that they're applying to make something that they are describing as rolled ice cream product made on site. And I would suggest that that might be the language to specify what they're looking for instead of the word just ice cream.
It's okay with me, except we know it's not ice cream. That's the problem with that definition. There's no cream in it. Certainly there's ice, but that's fine, because I think it'll be clear enough what we're trying to get to. But it's difficult to name this product, since definitional, as he's told us, it can be all fruit, in which case it's not ice cream, unless the definition is changed. But I will accept that.
Commissioner O'Donnell, my mind is easily changed. However, I cannot support the motion. Under the satisfaction of the Director of Community Development, item 4 is use. Approved use is a minor restaurant selling ice cream, coffee, and tea. I wouldn't want to in any way restrict a retail business from having every chance to survive, conditioned, by using the general definition of ice cream, coffee, and tea. If a restriction should cause them to fail, I wouldn't sleep. And if there's a purpose for the restriction, I'm open for it, but I wouldn't want to tie their hands for anything on this.
And you don't have to. Just don't vote for it.
Commissioner Janoff.
And I think that the clarification Vice Chair Hudas suggested is good. We could also just simply say it's a rolled frozen product, and it could be ice cream, it could be fruit, it could be anything. That would solve the ice cream issue. And I do agree, we don't want to limit this business from selling within this general category anything possible to make it a going concern. So.
Commissioner Badami.
Maybe we could just call it a dessert, a rolled dessert.
I'm not understanding why we need to be specific. Commissioner O'Donnell, are we protecting something, or you just want the clarification?
Are you asking me?
Yes, sir.
Because the whole basis of coming in and telling us they're not going to be in competition with the nearby ice cream vendors is that they don't compete with ice cream vendors. And that's the whole premise of why they're here. If they were here saying we want to open an ice cream shop, we'd be having a different discussion. And therefore, I'm making a motion which they are happy with. I'm sorry, you are not.
Oh, I told you I was easily changed my mind. Commissioner Birch.
I was just going to say that I support the motion, and I think that this is a great, unique use. I think that it will get a lot of excitement in town. And I would strongly encourage you do look at, when the time is right, that you do have outdoor seating, as it does draw more foot traffic down for all businesses. So I will definitely support the motion. I think it'll be really exciting.
Commissioner Hanson.
I wanted to say I'd be supporting the motion as well. When I did some research earlier today on this industry, I guess, I found Icicle's website, and they have a very cool video on their website where they show you how they do the rolling of the ice cream. And, you know, and so when you had your comments about the customers are, you know, get interested in the process of it, you know, because they use a scraper and then they make the rolls. And they did call it, in Icicle's website, they do call it rolled ice cream, regardless of, I'm sure they probably do the same thing as you're going to do. So I'm kind of ambivalent about whether we do that or not. I did want to point out that since you're also doing the coffee and tea, I just want to make sure we weren't too restrictive in the CUP language, because all these Asian tea places are popping up all over the place. In fact, in Downing Square, over on Union Avenue, I mean, the ice cream shop just went away, and now there's a Asian tea place. And so I don't know what percentage of your business will be what, but I just wanted to make sure we weren't making it so restrictive that you had to sell more rolled ice cream than tea or whatever. So, but I'm okay with the language if you are okay with that restriction. So.
Commissioner O'Donnell.
I'd like to ask a question to follow up that, and I'm directed to her. I hadn't thought of that. We've been told they want to sell tea. I mean, I don't care if they sell coffee, I guess. But on the other hand, I suppose if they became a coffee shop, that's not what they want to do. That's not what we want them to do. So is the application really then solely, as far as liquids are concerned, water, tea? I don't know if there's some limitation. Are they asking? I'll ask staff. Are they asking for some limitation? Is it just Asian tea?
No, there's not a limitation. It just says coffee and tea.
Okay, so just coffee.
And I would also point out, your previous comment was that the reason why you wanted this clause in there was because of the neighborhood compatibility and mainly the other tenants in that building. But then your second time was based on the fact that you didn't want it competing with other businesses. That's really not a finding that you can make, that you're not going to allow a CUP because it will compete against other businesses. That's not the purview of Planning Commission.
Then I'm sorry I wasn't clear. What I'm saying is the premise upon which we are making a decision tonight is based on the facts we've heard. Now, in fact, were they asking us to compete with lots of people, that'd be fine, but we'd have to consider what it is they're doing. We're not being asked to do that, and therefore we're not doing it. That's all.
Commissioner Badami.
I'll provide my comments. I'm not a fan of replacing retail for a couple of reasons, and that's Ordinance 2021. And also, the general plan states that retail uses should be emphasized in the central business district, which is what this is. However, based on testimony from Ms. Wren, and also the uniqueness of the product and the wording of the CUP that I think we're still working on, I will be supporting the motion.
Okay. Further comments? Seeing no comments, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? 1. Motion passes 6-1. Mr. Paulson, are there appeal rights?
There are appeal rights. Anyone who's not satisfied with the decision of the Planning Commission can appeal that decision to the Town Council. The appeal forms are available in the clerk's office. There's a fee for filing the appeal, and the appeal must be filed within 10 days.
We're back on the record. We move the public hearing portion of our agenda. Consider item 4, which is conditional use permit application U18003. Project location is 324 North Santa Cruz Avenue. Property owner is Take-On Properties. Applicant is Games Workshop Retail, requesting approval for a formula retail business on property zoned C2. This is APN 529-04039. Commissioners, have we all had a chance to visit the property? And do we have any disclosures? Thank you. Mr. Khan, will you presenting this report as well?
Yes, I will. Item number 4 is a proposal from the applicant Games Workshop requesting approval of a conditional use permit to allow a formula retail business in a 770 square foot tenant space at 324 North Santa Cruz. Town code requires formula retail use to be reviewed by the planning commissioners. Staff recommends approval, subject to the condition of approval, and this completes staff's report.
You've had really short reports tonight. Are there any questions for staff? Commissioner Birch.
Could you tell us a little bit about where the other 7 locations are?
There's several in the Bay Area, some of which are authorized retail spaces, but there's quite a bit, about 100 or so in the nation, and I think the applicant can speak more on that behalf.
Other questions for staff? Commissioner Hanson.
I had the same sort of question for Ms. Wren as I did about the Asian ice cream. And so my question is basically this tabletop gaming. I know something about it because my daughter does this, but from an economic development perspective, it's my general line of thinking is this is really similar to in a different way to some new retail trends that we're seeing now, like where people are doing these exercise places. Now there's this, instead of going in and buying a board game, you go to a location and you play this board game. Is my thinking on this correct? And is this a trend that we're going to see more of?
Well, again, they're primarily retail, is my understanding. I've done a lot of work with them, and I'd actually never heard of them until we started talking on the phone, and I, started looking at their website and having some conversations. And, I think to your point, you're right. So, what can a retail location offer that brings people in, that creates that sense of community that everybody's looking for right now? We're calling it experiential retail. So, I think that GameWorks really hits that experiential retail experience, and from my perspective, it's pretty exciting. It's something different. It's something new. It could be something that what I heard from them is oftentimes they'll connect with local high schools. They'll connect with other local communities. And, the more I kind of had conversations with the group, the more excited I got to hear really what their platform was. And, it provides that uniqueness that we like to see in Los Gatos.
And we don't have anything like this in Los Gatos at this time, do we?
I don't think we have anything too similar. We do have Toy Soldier, and I'm not sure apples to apples if they're exactly the same. But I mean, my comment to that would be we have more than one shoe store, more than one dress shop. So sometimes having, options will oftentimes bring people in, because if they know there's 2 places to go instead of just one, then now it's a destination. Now it's, if I don't find it in one place, I have 2 options.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Toy Soldier doesn't provide any sort of a gaming environment, does it?
I am not sure of that.
I think they just sell the figures.
Okay.
For dioramas. You build a battlefield, but nobody moves. Okay. Commissioner Hudes.
I just wanted to understand a little bit about formula retail and what our guidelines are for approving a formula retail business. I understand that we have some findings that would to deny formula retail, but are there considerations to approve, or is it just that they don't meet any of these findings, so we're essentially finding a negative?
Thank you. So the findings, if you are looking to approve it, are just simply the findings for a regular conditional use permit. Should you be interested in denying the application, then you would need to go to that other section. Whenever we have a formula retail or a personal service that comes before you, we provide both sets so that depending on which option you choose. But it would just be the required findings for a conditional use permit, which are on page 1 of Exhibit 2.
So just to follow up in terms of what's relevant here, we would have to find that it is because it's formula retail, it would not be in harmony or detract from the existing balance or over concentration or detract from existing land use mix. We would have to find that to deny. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions for staff? Seeing none, I'll turn to the applicant. We have one further question. Commissioner Hootis.
Is there a requirement for a bathroom in this retail shop?
Not that I'm aware of, but Mr. Khan may have more information on that.
Basically that we're not aware of any additional bathroom requirements.
And to follow up, if a bathroom is required, then one will have to be provided. A lot of times in these multi-tenant buildings, other arrangements are able to be made.
Okay, thank you.
I'll call upon the applicant. Are we going to hear from Mr. Wimberly, Mr. Bell, or both? Come to the podium, fellas. Give us your name and address, and you have 10 minutes to tell us about the project.
Hello, I'm James Bell, the marketing coordinator for Games Workshop North America, and I live in McKinney, Texas. Would you like more details? On like my actual address?
You going to commute?
No, sir. Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, can't find our manager.
Yeah, right.
Hello, my name is Josh Wimberly. I'm the Vice President of Sales for North America for Games Workshop. I live down the road from James in a town called Frisco, Texas, 13065 Burt Mill Lane. I would not make that commute. What I do for Games Workshop, I manage the North American business. I guess I'd be the ranking executive for Games Workshop for North America. My team thought I might be the person to come talk to you guys so you'd be able to speak to the person ultimately responsible. I hope that makes me the right person to answer the questions. We'll see. I'll tell you a little bit about Games Workshop. Some of the comments I heard in the discussion with staff. Is it how we're new and we're exciting that we're a formula retail? Actually, we're quite an old company. We're about, not old, but young. We're 45 years young. We are originally a British company. The company that I represent, though, is the North American company. We have a warehouse in Memphis. My offices are in Dallas. And we have a 14-person team that manages our retail business. There was a discussion about the number of locations we have. We actually only have one of our corporate stores in the greater Bay Area, and that's closer to Oakland. Perhaps what was being discussed there were some accounts, some local businesses that perhaps buy our products and resell them. The closest one that we know of to Los Gatos is in Santa Clara. It's called Game Castle. What Games Workshop does, we have two intellectual properties that we developed, known for a lot of years. One of them is called Warhammer. One of them is called Warhammer 40,000. The Warhammer 40,000 is the science fiction intellectual property. It's Star Wars with, but cooler. And Warhammer, which are the dragons and the wizards and the Lord of the Rings type stuff, the medieval bits. And what we make is a product. We consider ourselves a manufacturer primarily as a global company. But of course, what I do here in North America is open retail stores for us. And what we make is a product where people, they buy our miniatures, they collect them, and if you could sort of picture models that you'd build, like model cars, model planes, things with lots of pieces, you build these, and you build hundreds of them. You collect and build hundreds of them. You paint them, and you play games with them. And what our stores do, the reason we have these stores is because this is it's a hobby. It's a lifelong pursuit. I started when I was 12, and I'm not 12 any longer. So it is a lifelong pursuit. And to get started, what's really helpful is to have a place or someone that can help you, that can teach you how to build them, that can teach you how to paint them, that can plug you into a broader community so that you're getting value from your purchases. Because this is a high-end niche product. You'd be amazed the amount of money we get for selling a goblin. But it is a high-end niche product. And we like to have our stores, we very audaciously sometimes compare ourselves. First store we went to today was the Apple store, just to see what was happening. Because if you're familiar with what happens in an Apple store, that's not terribly unlike us. We're a bit smaller. People buy the products, and then they want to be good at using those products. So they'll come and they'll talk to the experts at the Apple store and get help on their products, and that's what our stores do. I was very jealous about the PowerPoint. I'm addicted to PowerPoint. I would have loved to have brought a PowerPoint presentation to show you, but unfortunately that's my description, if that's helpful on what we do. The store itself is a perfect footprint for us. We like about 700 square feet. We like just enough space to be able to help customers, to sell to customers, but not have something that feels like a gathering place where we'd have 40, 50, 60 people coming to do their hobby all day long in the store. That's actually counterproductive to what we like to do in the store. Because the more people that are taking their products home and showing their products to their friends and playing the games with friends, the more people find out about Warhammer and the more people come to see us at the store. So 700 square feet is really good. We wouldn't be interested in having a public bathroom in the store, so that works out great. And we came in early enough today to actually spend some time in the city, and it's just beautiful. That Santa Cruz Street is tremendous for us. We really like the feel of it, and we sure hope the ice cream place next door gets to open, because that would work great for us. Our customers would really enjoy that.
It's not ice cream.
Good point. Rolled delicious desserts. Frozen desserts. But the thing also for us is I think we'd also be very good for them, because our customers, they do start in the mid preteen area up to, we say our products are really great for those kids that are 11 to 85. So our stores are a destination. Some of the stuff my team has talked about while working with the staff has been about events and crowds. What would that look like? Our stores are known to the people that know us, but as you guys have hinted at, not very many people know about us here. Now, we're sort of like Hasbro in the UK and Europe. We're really only starting to be known in the United States now. But what you'd typically have on any given day would be a family, 4 or 5 people, folks coming in to get a lesson or to play a game or to pick up some things on their way home from school or work, and then go home. So the council knows that the one day where you would definitely see a crowd would be opening day, though, because we would have people come from all over, from an hour to 2 away to come to that opening day. So that is the one day where we would probably have a pretty sizable crowd. I don't know how we would stop that, but what else could I say? That's me. Anything, James?
I wish you had brought the PowerPoint. I'd like to see it in operation. We have no sense of what it looks like or other than the diagram. Do you have any wallet photos of?
I tell you what I could do. I don't know how. If there were time for this, I could probably plug in, if there were an Apple dongle or something like that, to my phone, and I could show a couple of things. It just might take a second.
I don't think it's essential, but it would clear up my fog of war as to actually how it works and what it looks like.
Yeah, I was going to say if we had any of the White Dwarf magazines or things like that. But what I could do, if it's helpful again too, is I could sort of describe. I've been at this for 18 years, so I could give you a pretty clear explanation of what it looks like.
I'd rather have a picture worth 1,000 words.
It really is.
Commissioner Hanson.
I was going to suggest, there's the layout of the stores in our packet. Maybe if we could put that up there, you could tell us how the store works and stuff. Because I know I had some questions around that.
Yeah, I could give you a walkthrough of exactly how the ergonomics of the store works. And the thing that's nice, if we have that photo, we have very few fixtures in our stores. So that it's very easy to explain.
Are you familiar with the Avalon Hill tournament board games?
Yeah. Yes.
Is it like that?
Yeah, not unlike it. One of the comments that was made was about the Toy Soldier. We visited Toy Soldier Day. You were exactly right in your description. We are a very different thing from that. Avalon Hill, if I remember, they do the Civil War board game and some of those things. Yeah.
They took
Sim-
3 days and 3 nights. How long does
Yeah.
yours take?
Ours is simpler and very different.
Other questions? Commissioner Badami? No? Commissioner Birch?
So I wanted to talk a little bit about a couple things. I've talked about your community involvement and the schools. Obviously, you want to get people starting this at a young age.
Love that.
We've got a very active young community in town. How do you engage in the schools and clubs and different things to get kids and parents knowledgeable about this, understanding what they can do in your store and you know, kind of help kids form clubs or whatever around this? Because for my research, that's a key aspect.
Yeah, James can talk, I'll turn over to him in a second to talk about the School Alliance program that we've done. It's a partnership with some Los Angeles schools, as a matter of fact. I'll just talk in general about how it works with the kids first, because I think what's exciting about what we do, while we're not a new product and we're not a new company, it turned out we were about 40 years ahead of our time, because it's exactly right about the engagement. Describing us as exciting, engaging retail is very true. What happens is a young person will find out about our hobby, and I'll show you on the walk through the store sort of how it works, because this is the best place to find out about what we do and get started. But what we love about the product is when a young person starts with this product, what's required first is you have to learn to build the product. You have to learn what the product's all about, and you have to learn how to build it. And then after you learn how to build it, then you take the next step of painting it and turning it into your own personal work of art. And as you progress that, there's a game. And what's great about our game, and I did see somewhere on a piece of paper it was described as a role-playing game, and that is not what we do. It's a different kind of game. It is tabletop strategy, and what that means is super chess. It's you move, I'm watching what you're doing. It's all strategy. So you cannot play this on a tablet. You can't play it on a phone. You can't play it by yourself. And what we see with kids is kids are actually able to take our product and focus for hours at a time. And actually for a lot of kids, even some kids that have a hard time making friends, what they find with our product is they find a community where they fit in, where they have common interests, where people understand them. So that's sort of how we work with family. And what we truly encourage, we're the kind of company that still believes in family game night. And fathers teaching sons, mothers teaching their daughters. Frankly, what ends up happening is our kids end up teaching their parents. But, James, you want to talk about the School Alliance?
So we have a School Alliance program that we're starting at the next fiscal year where our stores actually are supporting the community as far as the school programs that we're going to be starting up. Those are going to be nationwide, and it's all about recruiting more new people into the hobby and working in association with the teachers to get the kids to come in to learn how to build, paint, and play with our tabletop miniatures. So once again, like Josh had touched on earlier, it's our stores providing that support mechanism for the kids and teaching them those social skills and those interpersonal skills and, you know, the critical thinking that comes along with playing the games and the coordination that it takes to paint their models and all that, and the concentration and focus. And our staff are trained to be supportive in that. So that's, as far as the schools go, that's exactly what we do, and that's why we line up perfectly with them.
I believe I read in the staff report you have one employee.
It's all of our stores are a one-person concept, and the idea there is that the stores have controllable hours and one person, and that's just about having a model that makes sense for profit.
So this one person would be your representative locally?
Yes.
While you're
We'd
in
actually hire
Texas.
2 local folks. We'd hire
Okay.
someone to manage the store, and then we would hire someone to be what we call an on-call staff member. And that means, because it is basically what we do is every single one of these stores, even though we have 130 of them, they're actually treated like independent businesses. I don't have middle management. I don't have regional managers. Every manager works for me.
Have you found a passionate, excited 19-year-old such as yourself to do, or are you searching?
Not one quite as handsome. No, sir. No, we haven't. We've started the recruitment process here until we got a little bit farther along with this process. We have to be careful because when we advertise a job, we have to know we can make the hire.
All right, fascinating. Questions? Commissioner Janoff.
Thank you. What would the name on the storefront be?
It would be Warhammer. That's our brand.
Be Warhammer.
This part's a bit confusing, like a lot of parts of our business. We've been Games Workshop for 40 years. 4 years ago, as our outgoing chairman was leaving, he felt like one of the mistakes he'd made was never taking our intellectual property and properly branding the stores. So that was the goal. So 3 years ago, we made a change to rebrand our retail stores. We're about 50% of the way into that. And I say 50%, that's here in North America. Half of my stores are Games Workshop stores, half of them are Warhammer stores. And that's because we've been building new stores, and they're all Warhammer stores. And we've built a few in the last 4 years. So the goal is for all of the stores to be rebranded. The sign would simply say Warhammer. There is a very simple, small logo. Again, think of an apple. We'd have a little symbol that looks like a hammer. That's us.
I'm going to move it along. Other questions? Commissioner Hanson.
So I was going to make a comment leading to a question. I had brought my daughter down earlier today, and as we were driving by, I mentioned that there was a tabletop gaming proposal, and she was very excited because she's a big Dungeons and Dragons person. And I've come to find, through raising my child, that this is sort of like the new social thing, at least for her, her age group. And they have a big Dungeons and Dragons thing. So my question for you is, would you put yourselves in the same general category as Dungeons and Dragons, and if not, how is it different? And then as a follow-up to that too, going back to the store, you have tables that say gaming. Is that to try out playing the game, or so? Please answer that.
If it's helpful, I'll answer the question, then I'll just do a quick run through of how the store functions. If you still wanted that, Chairman.
I'm good.
I'm asking if you would do that. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'll do it quickly.
Take the mic with you.
Okay. We're not Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons is the role playing that was described a bit earlier, and we're different than that. I think what I would say is the folks that like Dungeons and Dragons find our stores and our stuff very, very cool. What they'll typically do while they're playing their games is they might have miniatures that would represent themselves and their characters in the games and the things that they do. And we're in a phenomenal place for them to find those, because we have thousands of miniatures on the walls for them to use. However, what we do is different, and it could expand what she does. She'll definitely find our store cool. She'll like it a lot. But it's a different thing. What makes us unusual is there's nothing like us. There are stores that sell our products, but we're the only store in our category that does what we do that has retail stores. It makes us very unusual, very different. There's just nothing quite like us. That's why I love working for Games Workshop.
So then, please just give us a quick 30
really quick.
to second or so a review of what the different stations in the store are.
So coming through the front door, what you'd see is an extravagant display in the front. That's what the two tables here that say demo are. It'd be an extravagant display. One would be Warhammer, one would be Warhammer 40,000. It's a fully painted, professionally done diorama that show off the two core sets that you can buy to start our hobby. And what happens if someone comes in for the first time and they haven't seen this before, the first thing we ask is, would you like to try it? And that's what this is about. This is about letting them try a game, try a little painting lesson, build a miniature, paint, all that for free. They'll take home a miniature, they'll do the stuff, they'll take that home with some flyers and some different propaganda that James would give them. And we'd ask them to come back and try some more to see if it's for them or not. The gaming tables, when we call these gaming tables, but to be fair, they're just plain flat tables that usually would have some terrain and some things set up on them where you could run a game. They're also used for table stacks during Christmas where you would display additional products or specialty products. They're versatile tables to use for everything. The reason that we have them is because if we do want to run a gaming activity or something like that where we invite some people in to do something new or exciting, or if we're launching a product, you can play a game. Day to day, they can be used for customers to come in and play a game. So what you'd be talking about here is two people on this table, 3, 4 people on this table at any given time, four people playing a game in the store. The paint and the hobby tables is the exact same tables as these, they just would have stools. And this is for teaching the actual building and the painting, advanced lessons, things like that.
So that was very helpful. Just one last follow-up question. If you're going to have people in the store potentially playing a game and painting, why would you not need a restroom facility? Because I mean, what if they were there for half an hour? And I mean, what would happen?
We have, because of the footprints of the stores and different stores that we actually don't encourage people to necessarily come and stay at the store for hours and hours at a time. Really, the gaming tables are used for teaching, used for demonstrating, used for playing, but customers will come in and they'll play from time to time. And we just explain to them if they need to use the bathroom, they'll leave. We have stores that just don't have bathrooms. We have some stores that were built with ADA compliant public restrooms, and we let the customers use them. It's just not part of our typical footprint. We don't find it from day to day that it's terribly necessary.
So you're saying basically you're not a gaming destination place that they're going to get their pieces and parts to do the game, and maybe try out something, but they're going to go play the game elsewhere with other people.
If we're doing our job right, absolutely.
Commissioner Hudas.
I want to make sure that we're getting the use correct in the conditional use permit. Does your revenue come from only selling collectible miniature figurines, or does it come from services, gaming, workshops, instructions?
All of our services are free. We charge a premium for our products, so all the services are free. The lessons, the games, the activities we put on,
so
that's all
the
free.
permit's correct that your revenue only comes from selling collectible miniature figurines?
Absolutely. For us, the service is the value of having the corporate-owned store.
Okay.
Other questions for the applicant? Thank you very much. I'm going to go to the public, and you'll be invited back for final comments. I have one speaker card, Mr. Jha.
Hi, this is Arindam Jha, and I am I don't know what is my shop and what I sell, but that frozen thing. And okay, it has to be cold and whatever. But I really like the idea because they will bring some young people that we are really looking forward to see. And I think together we can create a better ecosystem for the city, for each of us. And I think that's something exciting. And I support whatever they're trying to do. So that's pretty much it.
I have a question. Currently, there's a giant hole between your two facilities. Are you going to board that up?
Yes, I think our designer already, when we shown that up in last time, we already boarded that portion.
Okay, thank you.
So I don't know how it's going to work out, but yes, we have no inside contact between the shops.
Question for the speaker. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Well, the applicant will now have 5 minutes to rebut anything he heard. Let the record show the applicant is in full agreement. Then I'm going to close the public portion of the public hearing. And I'm going to look to my commissioners for comments, questions, or a motion. Commissioner Birch.
I'll be so bold as to go ahead and make a motion unless anyone disagrees. I would move to approve conditional use permit application U-18-003 at 324 North Santa Cruz Avenue. I've got really weird feedback on this. On property zone C2, APN 529-04039, and I can make the findings that this is categorically exempt in CEQA and as required by section 29.20.190 of the town code for granting a conditional use permit. And I could say that I think it is another very exciting new use in the town that I do think will bring people to the area. I think it will encourage also more foot traffic. It seems like these two businesses complement each other very well. And I'm very pleased to hear about your outreach with the schools, and I really do encourage that. As one of my other commissioners said, it has become quite a thing, the gaming, this kind of gaming, and I love that it's an interactive gaming. It's not a screen. So I think it will be a great addition to the town.
Do we have a second? Commissioner Badami,
Second.
any discussion? Commissioner Janov?
Yeah, just a point about formula retail. I think, maybe I've been living under a rock, but there's formula retail and there's formula retail. And this is really, I think, well outside the concern of bringing in formula retail within the town. And so I would support this formula retail business. I think it's a nice fit and would support the motion.
Commissioner Hanson?
I wanted to add on to what Commissioner Janoff said. There was some mention of the findings, and just because it's important to understand kind of how we make our decisions, if there was a finding to deny this, it would be that it would detract from the existing balance and diversity of businesses in the commercial district, or create an overconcentration of similar types of businesses, or detract from the existing land use and mix and high urban design standards. So there's just, this is a very unique concept, and we don't have anything like it in Los Gatos, so it would be hard to find findings to deny it. So therefore, I too will be supporting the motion. And as I mentioned earlier, I have some familiarity with this from my own children. And I view this as a really positive social outlet. And it's sort of like the new thing that the kids are doing. And so I'm hopeful that this will be a big part of the Los Gatos youth community, and potentially a future youth-friendly business. We have a youth commission, and hopefully it will turn out that way. They award one business a youth-friendly business every year. So,
Other discussion? Seeing none, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? It passes unanimously, 7-0. Mr. Paulson, are there appeal rights regarding this item?
Thank you. There are appeal rights. Anyone who's not satisfied with the decision of the Planning Commission can appeal the decision to the Town Council. Forms are available in the clerk's office. The appeal must be filed within 10 days, and there is a fee for filing the appeal.
Other commission matters from any commissioner? Mr. Paulson, do you have a report from the Director of Community Development?
Very briefly, last week, the council met and continued their discussion regarding potential amendments to the North 40 specific plan. They requested additional information from staff, and the item was continued to their April 17th, I believe, meeting. And so, assuming we can pull together that information, it will be heard then, or may otherwise be continued.
I have a question for the Director. We have something was in our package regarding 248 Jared Lane, and it refers to prior documents that came out years ago. I don't have those prior documents. What are we intended to do with the 248 Jared Lane amendment?
Well, the best thing to do would be to email me, and then I will make sure we get you either a copy of that. I believe we did provide a link to the previous documents, which are on the town's website. However, if anyone's interested in a hard copy, we can see about reproducing those.
How thick is the link?
The link is very skinny, but the document in the link is thick.
I'll take a look at the document first. Y'all know what I'm talking about? They referred to stuff that was many years old, so we'll use the link at this time. Any other question or comment? This meeting is adjourned.